Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the live show. It's Saturday night. It's 8 o'clock. I was trying to do a Wayne's World thing there for a second. Saturday night, 8 o'clock. My name's Wayne Campbell, your excellent host. I don't. Yeah, I know. But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about Star Wars Resistance. But before we get into that, I am joined once again by our good friend Allie Andrews. Allie, you are in warm weather compared to the rest of us that are freezing.
Not right now, actually. Actually, it's kind of cold here right now.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was like in the 80s for a while, and now we're back to like 50-degree weather again. So, gotta love Florida and not being able to make up its mind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to warm up here later this week too. So here's hoping.
Yeah, for
We were
sure.
actually supposed to get like 2 feet of snow apparently the other day, but that never happened. It just went
Oh,
completely south, and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't like snow. I don't like
No.
snow. No. Um, Real quick though, before we get into stuff, I met Charles Soule today.
What? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he was doing a signing at one of the comic book stores near us. Apparently he has a new comic out with Ryan Brown that did they did 8 billion genies, and this one is the Lucky Devils, and they signed it there.
Nice.
Yeah, and then they were signing, of course he was signing Legacy of Vader. So I picked up one for one of my friends, and
Nice.
then I had to pick up this one. Uh, I had to pick up this one. Our boy Kylo on Mustafar with
Yes.
Vader in the background. This is such a great series. It's so good so far, even though it's only one issue in. Um, and then um, I had him sign. Holy crap! Uh, I had him sign my High Republic omnibus.
Nice.
Yeah, and it says for light and life. So now I just need, if I ever meet Kevin Scott and Daniel Jose Alder, now I need them to sign this as well. So yeah, yeah. All in all, good day. One of my best friends showed up also, and we got to hang out with him for a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did some Star Warsy stuff today, I guess you could say. They had the 501st there too, and one guy dressed as Palpatine, and he had the cane and everything.
Nice.
So yeah. It took us 2 hours to get the signature though. It took them an hour and a half to get through the VIP line.
Oh,
And if you're a VIP, you can bring 6 items from home to get signed, and then
well,
get
that would
an
explain it.
additional
There you
what?
go.
And then get an additional 6 items off the table to get signed too, if you wanted. And I'm like, that's a little much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and real quick, I just wanted to shout out one member of our community, um, Moon Whimsy. She does like a lot of crafting and stuff and does some cosplay. She sent me a couple of things. These are patches. So this is CT4860. This is Boost from Wolf's Squad. And then I got a Clone Force 99 patch. So
Nice.
yeah, thank you to them. All right. Everything else all right? I mean, in Florida and everything, you're good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're having
yeah.
fun here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, you're in warmer weather. Well, not now, but yeah, have fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on and off.
yeah,
It's just weird. Florida, like I said, can't seem to make up its mind about if it's going to be freezing cold or warm, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
so fun.
Mm.
And it's so annoying for me when I'm trying to plan what I need to wear for work because I'm like, do I need a dress warm? Do I need a dress cold? Like literally the
Mm.
other day, we had like the sun was out, but every like freaking 10 minutes it decided to like blow wind through. So we would be like sweating and then it would just be freezing and
Yeah,
it couldn't make up its mind. It was so
yeah,
annoying.
yeah. I mean, that just seems like the winner, just in general. Like,
Honestly, yeah, but
yeah,
Florida is like the extremes. It's
yeah,
like annoying.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about a little TV show that debuted on Disney XD, ran 2 seasons, and is a severely underrated Star Wars TV show.
Yes.
We are going to be talking about Star Wars Resistance tonight. Man, I figured since I was going to the comic book signing also, and this does take place during the sequel era, it would be fun to actually talk about sequel era stuff tonight with Resistance.
Yeah.
Um, I know you're a big fan of Resistance.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, it's so good, and I think people just need to give it another chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Um, I mean, so your overall thoughts on Resistance before we just dive into the craziness that is Star Wars Resistance.
Um, this show is just so pure. It's like the pure I call it like a little hug, kind of like whenever I'm
Hmm.
feeling down or sad or just struggling. It's always just such a comfort show for me.
Hmm.
Just with all the laughs, all of the sweet interactions with the characters. It's just so much, and it's just a lot of fun too. I find so much joy in it in those moments when I need it, and also just like for fun when I'm not even sad, like when I'm happy too, you know.
Hmm.
But also it's just like one of those great examples, kind of like Rebels, of characters who find each other and push each other in different ways and learn and grow together. Especially with its protagonist, which we'll get into. It's like the growth that these characters go through is amazing. And I still to this day wish the show had been given some more time for certain
Hmm.
characters. But that's a whole other story, obviously. I overall though, like I said, it's just like a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoy the elements of found family, even if not just found family, but found community too in this
Hmm.
show.
I agree. I feel like Resistance is like a great precursor to what we got with Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Um, like it has its very serious moments, but at the same time, it knows when not to take itself seriously.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and I mean, how can you not love Bucket? Like
Oh
he's
my
such a great
god,
droid.
Buffett, the
Yeah,
best.
he is
Yes.
the best. Um, but like I love Kaz. I love that entire crew. Um, and they the crazy thing is that they brought in sequel trilogy cast members
Mhm.
for the show. O-
Yes.
Oscar Isaac is Poe Dameron, like, and I love it.
My favorite thing on the internet is when especially with that no context account I have, is
Hmm.
when I just remind people that Oscar Isaac is in this show, or even like not even just remind, but also like tell new people, like people
Hmm.
discovering. I've helped multiple people discover that he is in this show
Hmm.
and like gotten them to watch it. And that is like one of my biggest accomplishments,
It's great.
honestly. Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you even had uh hold on. I thought they had. Oh yeah, Gwendolyn Christie was Phasma
Yes.
in this show too. Like it's just, oh man, it's so good. Like I'm looking at the cast here, and it's just awesome. Like Christopher Sean as Kazuda Ziono. Like how can you not love that kid? Like he's just so infectious.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and then Josh Brenner as Niku. He grew on me as the show went on. At first, I was
Yay.
kind of like, okay. But yeah, he grew on me as the show went on. Susie McGrath as Tam. I mean, what an amazing! character arc Tam had throughout that. Tora, Doza. I mean, oh man, Steven Stanton was in this. Bobby Moynihan was great. Jim Rash. I love Orca and Flick so much.
Mhm.
Dave Filoni was in this. Elijah Wood
Of
was in
course, Dave
this.
Filoni.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elijah Wood was in this. Um, yeah, so many amazing. Yeah, Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac's only in 4 episodes
It
as
feels
Poe.
like more. It feels
It
like
does.
more, honestly.
Really does. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, Fred Armisen, Paul F. Tompkins, John DiMaggio's in this too. Like Taram Kill. Wow. So should we go through this episode by episode, or how do you want to do
Oh
this?
gosh, that might take a while.
Yeah, it might. Um,
Uh,
like we can talk about the ones that stand out and then go from there.
I also think an option too could be like character by character, which we could
Yeah.
still like get in the depth. Like obviously there's overlap, but I could like talk for ages
Yeah.
about some of these characters.
Well, why don't we kick it off with the series lead with Kaz?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Kaz. I have championed Kaz for years as one of the best developed Star Wars characters. Like the one
Hmm.
of the Star Wars characters that goes through the most significant and empowering growth
Yeah.
as a character. And it just brings me so much joy to like come back to that. I've written articles about it. I've done tons of podcasting about it just because I need more people to know how amazing of a protagonist he is in Star
Hmm.
Wars. Like the fact that he just goes from being so sheltered, so expectant of things to just come his way, so trapped in that life that he had set up for himself, to go on that growth and to connect with others and grow into his own and learn that you have to work for things and things won't just immediately come, and to spend time with people, and just every single ounce of his growth that he experiences is just so amazing. And
Hmm.
he ends the show off being the one to really, out of everyone, be the one to reach out to someone else, which really shows you how far he comes.
Hmm. I think he's a great character. I mean, at the beginning of the show, he's very um set in his ways. He's
Right.
very set in his ways.
Yeah.
And he just wants to be a great pilot.
Mhm.
By the way, I love those New Republic X-wings that they have at the beginning of the show, like with the
Yes.
blue and everything. Like they're beautiful X-wings.
Yeah.
Um, but and then for him to get recruited by Leia and Poe to go on this spy mission is really interesting because out of everybody that they could have recruited, like you could have centered this around Vi pretty much.
Mhm.
But they didn't do that. They were like, no, this is going to be centered around this newer character, this new character, Kaz, and it works perfectly.
Mhm.
Um, and I love how they're like, what do you know about mechanics? And he's like, nothing really. I have mechanics that work on my ship. Like,
Right.
but then like he gets a crash course in how to be a mechanic and everything. And then in order
Mhm.
to um fall in with the crowd or to like be part of the family, he has to learn to fix the fireball. Um, which that is an underrated ship, by the way. That is an underrated ship. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I one of the most like significant parts is not only accepting his job there, but like I said, the people there.
Yeah.
And one of the relationships I always go back to is with Tora. Um, so Kaz, obviously, everyone around him was trying to get more from him, like with the mechanics, with even just relationally working together, but Tora just really out of anyone wanted friendship because of how isolated she was at that point in time,
Mhm.
because of the First Order. And there are several episodes, can't name off the titles because unfortunately, unlike Rebels, I'm not a title master with Resistance.
It's all good.
But there are several episodes where Tora is very open about how isolated she feels and how much she
Mhm.
just craves friendship and honesty, and craving that openness from someone because she
Yeah.
feels like her father's hiding a lot from her and sheltering her from a lot. And
Mhm.
so when she's suspecting Kaz, she really is like pushing him for that openness because she wants that openness and connection with someone. She wants him to be able to be open with her. And
Mhm.
for a while he's not able to, and I think she really struggles a lot with that, and that them they are one of the biggest examples of Kaz's growth, because
Mhm.
as the series goes on, Kaz learns to be open with her and open with others because
Mhm.
of how she expresses how she's feeling, and Kaz seeing the position that she's in and how it's hurting her. And
Mhm.
I just, oh, I love them so much, and that
Mhm.
just to see the fact their friendship grow from that is just so amazing. Like,
Um, I'm also glad that when it came to Kaz and Tora's relationship, they didn't go romantic with it. They just kept them as friends.
I shipped
Do
them,
you?
but
No, I mean,
I
there's
still
nothing
agree
wrong.
with the point. I still agree
Yeah.
with the point. I mean, I don't need everything to be romantic. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of the stuff I ship in Star Wars doesn't even end up sh- like
Yeah.
being romantic. So,
No, I
um,
get it.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it, and I can see it, but like for me, it was just one of those things where I was glad like that they were just best friends, you
Yeah, no,
know,
I get
and
it.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, and for those of you that are, I don't ship Kaz and Tamara though. I see why. I don't ship Kaz with any of them, honestly.
Honestly, just gets shipped with everyone, like literally
Yeah,
everyone. I don't think I've seen like a single of the main cast that I haven't seen Kaz be not be shipped with.
but but I also love like um Kaz with Poe Dameron, and kind of like how Kaz becomes a version of Poe Dameron as well.
Mm.
Because like he learns so much. We don't ship Kaz with Bucket. Like
No, okay, not Bucket. No, no, no.
there is a droid ship though that I do have, and that's BB-8 and CB-23.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and we'll get to those chaotic bundles of joy here soon. Um,
Mhm.
but I also love like he becomes like this Poe Dameron character in a way, and he really grows into being a leader.
Mhm.
And Captain Doza ends up trusting a lot of his judgment. Jarek ends up trusting a lot of his judgment too. And I just love that. I love how like Kaz just really grows throughout that show.
Mm.
And it's great. And Tora grows throughout that show too. I guess we can talk about her now since we talked about her with Kaz. Um, uh, we are first introduced to her with the Ace pilots, with the Colossus Aces, and
Mhm.
what an awesome group of pilots, by the way. Like that was just such a cool group. Um, yeah, I love I love Tora. I think she's great. I love her pet Bubbles
Buggles
or
with a
Buggles.
G.
Buggles,
With
yes.
a G.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Buggles is fantastic. He's just great with just running around the Colossus and everything, and he's just really fun. And I do love that you talk about Tora and her desire to be open with people and to reach out with people, because even though she's part of the Aces, she doesn't really find belonging until Kaz comes into the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, I think she wants to go beyond the surface, a
Hmm.
lot, is like Not necessarily like that she's like super duper sheltered, obviously, but like she's still sheltered to a level. And I think if Resistance had been given more time, they could have really touched on that a lot more in a second or a
Okay.
third season, because she, out of anyone, was very expressive about the limitations of life. And I feel like, honestly, it bothers me sometimes that she doesn't have more interactions with Tam, because I feel like they could
Yeah.
have bonded over some of those feelings a lot more. Just because, like, she really had that craving for, like you said, of that openness. Not only from Kaz, but from everyone, from her father, from the other aces, just wanting it to go beyond competitiveness. And that's honestly a reason why she's my favorite, is because I was originally drawn to her for obviously her competitive, sassy nature, but like as kind of like my growth and love of Sabine, like getting to see the more complex side of it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the fact that it's not just sassy, cool pilot, but it's also this complex emotional feelings about like of her past loss, of
Yeah.
her wanting her mom back in her life, wanting to be her father to trust her.
Hmm.
And that's where a lot of that sass and that determination comes from, and the competitiveness is wanting to prove herself,
Hmm.
and wanting to be able to go out and do those things. And like I said, in a second or a third season, I feel like they could have really spent more time
Hmm.
exploring that, like, but they felt so rushed in that second season, I feel like, because they had so little time.
Yeah.
But because like her getting to go to these new worlds and go beyond the Colossus was something that was huge for her. So
Yeah. Moon Whimsy's in the chat. I think I've only watched one episode of Resistance, but I'm always behind on shows. Aren't we all?
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm behind on so many things right now. It's not
Yeah.
even funny.
No,
Um,
if it had been coming out right now, I'd be behind on it because of how
oh
busy
yeah,
I am. So I understand.
I totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. It was hard for me to like. I'm just now catching up on What If, the
Mhm.
Marvel stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard for me to keep up with Skeleton Crew at times because I was just like, how many episodes did I miss? But so let's move on to Tam now.
Mm,
Um,
mhm.
the black sheep of the group, I guess you could say, because she kind of goes off on her own. Oh, I'm way behind on that too. It's hard. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because she may or may not join the First Order at one point in the show. Who
Mm,
knows?
yeah.
Um, yeah, that was an interesting turn that she took with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, Tam, sweet, sweet, precious Tam. I say this about every character. I love these characters so much just
Yeah.
because they reflect some of the human nature desires that I just love talking about.
Oh
Because
yeah.
for Tam, she just wants to like fulfill her dreams of like flying.
Hmm.
Does she go about the right means to do that? No, but
Hmm.
ultimately, like her intentions were always from a place of just wanting to be given an opportunity to achieve her dreams. I love when we get more of her backstory from Yeager about how she just was trying to like that's her dream. It's just going planet to planet, just trying to like fly, trying to like
Oh
have
yeah.
a ship and achieve that dream. And she thought she could achieve that dream at the Colossus, and obviously things did not work out. Um, but she ultimately had that dream and desire, and then her relationship with Yeager is so interesting
Hmm.
because they have that interesting dynamic where Yeager admits the fact that he has his own fears that
Hmm.
were a reason why she was limited, because he kind of grew that father-daughter relationship with her, kind of like paralleling Doza and Tora,
Hmm.
of not wanting to let her go fully because he's afraid of what could happen, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, cause he's seen like what the galaxy has in store, and he believes in her and her dreams, but he talks about how like he's like, yeah, if she fixed the fireball, I thought she'd just fly away and I would never see her again. So that episode, man, oh, that episode got me when he was talking about that, because I'm like, that's just that meant so much to me because like for a while I thought he just like wasn't giving her enough attention, you know what I mean? Because like you talked about like
Yeah.
she's like the isolated one, but it really came from a place of fearing letting her go, which I thought was like so interesting and why it's so emotional for him when she makes that decision and leaves because that's his exact fear coming true.
Hmm.
She still ends up leaving and now she's not only leaving but she's leaving with the first order, which is
Hmm.
like not only his fear of her leaving but his fear of the galaxy, the bad parts of the galaxy
Hmm.
getting to her,
Yeah.
which is so significant emotionally, and they had so much emotion boiled up in that finale even. I'm like, "Gosh, give me more Resistance content. I need to know how they heal."
Yeah.
Um, because they're just so I could talk forever, so just shut me up whenever because, like,
No,
I
no,
just
you're fine.
I just love her so much for how she is so determined to achieve that dream that she openly makes mistakes
Hmm.
along the way, but when she recognizes that the path she went down is only hurting other people, she makes that choice to step away from it, which
Yeah.
is so amazing.
I also love that you talk about her failing,
Mhm.
um, because like that's a big thing, and like one of Star Wars's biggest lessons is actually learning from failure, which I
Yeah.
think is just fantastic. And for them to take that lesson that Yoda was trying to teach Luke and trying to teach, the other people, and really put that into this show as well was just so wonderfully done.
Mhm.
And yeah, she wanted to be the fireball pilot. She wanted to be the one to go up against the aces because that's what she thought that Yeager was training her to do. And
Mhm.
then Yeager brought her into the inner circle with Kaz, and then she's like, "Yeah, you know nothing about what we're doing here." And yeah, it was, oh man,
Well, it
I
was also because she saw that when Kaz failed, he was so easily forgiven and rewarded,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he got a lot more opportunities, what she saw, like, to fly, to have, like, inroads with people and
mhm,
connections and freedom, and and also just, like, forgiveness and understanding for his own faults, like I said,
mhm,
like and that bothered her because she,
mhm,
like you said, had been fighting so hard to achieve this dream and to get
mhm,
that approval and she hadn't been given it. And that's like why she fell so easily prey to
yeah,
tyranny's manipulation because she had been getting a lack of approval from
yeah,
her own like parental relationship, like parental, found family parental
yeah.
relationship. Um,
That, and then when I also love that you talked about Yeager with it too,
mhm,
because has spent an entire lifetime fighting what she is now becoming,
right.
and it breaks his heart to see that.
Exactly.
And then he still tries to save her in the end
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
which is just, oh man. But and that's the joy of Star Wars. It's about not giving up on people.
Right. And that's one of the greatest reflections too, and about like even Yeager and Kaz is
Mhm,
because Yeager gives Kaz opportunity and forgiveness, and then Kaz gives that back to him by reminding him of the own lessons that Yeager taught him when
mhm,
it comes to his brother, when it comes to Tam. Kaz is continually taking that lesson forward and being like, "You gave me like forgiveness and openness and opportunity, so you should also still give these people that as
mhm.
well."
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was great. Then let's talk about Yeager then.
I know I jumped the gun a bit with that.
No, 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 no. It's great
Yeah,
because I actually like these transitions because
yeah.
we're bringing up these characters and it's actually a really good transition to the other character. Yeager was a soldier and pilot in the Resistance, or well, the Rebellion, I should say.
Rebellion, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're both the same. Um,
No, 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 we're not even starting that conversation.
yeah, I know, I know, I know.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no, 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 no.
I
We're
do
we're
not
not
wanna
going to
go
do
down
that.
the spiral
No, no,
of
no,
the
no,
Rise
no,
of
no. We're not.
Skywalker tonight. No, thank you.
No, no, no. No, no, no. That's for the after hours show.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
um, and he fought for so long during that Galactic Civil War, and then for there to finally be peace,
Mhm.
and he can settle down and do what he wants to do. But then the First Order starts rising, and then the political tensions start rising again, and then Yeager is trying to stay out of it as far as he can by going to literally the middle of nowhere
Yep,
in the
pretty
middle of the ocean on a
mhm.
refueling platform to get away from the conflict, but yet it still finds him.
Yep.
Um, and he's drawn back into it. And he becomes like a general, pretty much. Like he becomes one of the Colossus's leaders.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he's he's great. And then he has a cranky droid named Bucket.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Um, what do we have to say about Yeager that hasn't already been said?
Um, I guess, like, kind of like what you were touching on about him wanting to be isolated from everything.
Mhm.
Uh, because like we start off from like the very jump of the show with him like telling Poe like whatever it is, I'm not interested, like very firmly, no thank you, not interested. No, their dynamic was so funny in that first episode.
Mhm. Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, no, but he then again is open, kind of like with Tam. I think for him, one of his biggest drawbacks into it is that reminder that he can actively make that change. And kind of like how I told you how like he didn't want Tam to fall prey to like to those dark forces or to go off on her own because he feared for what
Yeah.
she could run into. Kind of similar to like what seeing where Kaz is and where he's struggling, and his own perceptions of the galaxy is a lot of what pushes him to become more active, to go more into it, because in a way he sees that he can create change. And that's like one of the biggest things in this show as a whole is like, what is the change that we can create? What is the change that we are capable of creating? Because a lot of like the citizens of the Colossus are like, we're just on a like a station, we can't do anything in these larger scale conflict. But these characters all remind each other that they are capable of creating that change and making that change happen. And Yeager is one of the biggest like growing forces of that, is because Kaz and with Tam and with everyone, he has to remind himself that he is capable of stepping up to make change. Sure, it might be scary and there might be risks, and Tam might be a risk, Kaz might be at risk, but ultimately, if we don't step up to make that change, to take that opportunity, things will happen. And I think losing Tam really opened that up for him, where he was like, okay, so I've seen that even when I held back, ultimately, I still like she still left and she
Yeah.
still fell to like the darkest place I couldn't protect her from. So ultimately, that like told him that like it is worth the risk to step back into the conflict, because if that means that I can prevent more people from falling into that, and I can prove to all these people that I live with that they are capable of making that change too. That was just such a big thing for him. And I honestly, that's why I'm so interested. I'd be so interested to see the healing process
Mhm.
of Tam and Yeager, because I just think the fact that he had to grow to see the risk, and that risk that comes with taking the chance for change, and Tam having to see that specific changes didn't mean that her dream wasn't worth the cost, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so they both had to like they both took certain steps like too far or not far enough, and they had to
Mhm.
come to learn like what was like the line or what was the best opportunity to make sure those around them were safe, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, no, I just he's such an interesting. I think people need to talk about him more, because he's just such
Mhm.
an interesting, like one of those, like you said, like one of those freedom fighters that just
Mhm.
doesn't get talked about enough
Mhm.
because of how he went, like you said, to a place of isolation and then grew beyond that.
Mhm. He's they've actually had him as one of as a big character in the Battle of Jakku.
I still don't think people talk about him enough,
Yeah,
though.
no, they don't. They
No.
really don't.
Yeah.
And I think if we had gotten a season 3, like I think we would have dove more into him as a character too.
Yeah.
Um, come on, Disney, make a season 3. Come on, guys.
Right, like, or even like a novelization or a
Hmm.
comic or just something like, because I just feel like there's so much they left so much unsaid with the relationships between these characters,
Yeah.
like Yeager and Tam, Kaz and Tam, Sonara and Tam. Like honestly, everyone with Tam. We just need a big novel, just like dissecting how Tam's moving forward with all these people.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Well, let's talk about Sonara, our
yeah,
favorite pirate
yeah.
in the show. Pirate of the Heart of Gold.
I'm the most dirty by season 2, but we'll get into that. Oh,
Yeah,
dirty,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, no, it was a lot of fun. She's a great character. Um, she, oh God, like,
They just
sh
set up so
yeah,
much, so much for her and so much potential and so much growth in season 1, and then season
yeah,
2, and I can go into it more if you want me to, but season 2,
yeah.
they didn't capitalize on that, and it bothers
No.
me to this day. Like, when the season was coming out, it bothered me. It still bothers me now. Um, I'll say at least this, and then I can go into it more if you want me to. Um,
Mhm,
One of the biggest reasons is because Sonara's like whole, not whole, because obviously she's still a complex character, but one of her biggest like things in season 1 was learning to like grow, step beyond the pirates to help others, and like
mhm,
learning to like kind of like Tam to open up to others, to and have this connection with Tam, and to hear about Tam's desires and
mhm,
where Tam was in her life. And then we get to season 2, and guess who's the most untrusting of Tam?
mhm.
Sonara. It bothers me. It bothers me because you would think after the growth Sonara experiences and seeing things beyond black and white, and even hearing more than anyone, hearing about Tam's dreams and
Yeah,
Tam's desires and
yeah.
everything else, and then to for her to be the most untrusting of Tam, it just bothers me. It
Mhm.
bothers me, because I would just think that after all of that, she, if anything, would be one of Tam's biggest, not as necessarily supporter, but like one of the biggest like understanders of where
Oh,
she's
yeah.
coming from, in falling into a group of people that could give her a dream, a place of belonging and stuff.
Mhm,
So I don't know. I get her being critical of her being with the First Order, but
mhm.
I guess more so understanding that there is a chance for us to get her back. There is a chance that even if I don't agree where she went, that I see why she did it. You know what I mean? So that's one of the biggest reasons I struggle with Sonara in season 2. But season 1, Sonara, amazing. Like you said, the she's such a like she's just so cool, so cool.
Mhm.
She's so cool. And also just like I said, the growth she goes through with her being able to step back. She found belonging and felt a belonging in a family with the pirates, but then recognizing the harm they were doing to this new family she was
Yeah.
forming and getting to step up and protect Tora. Amazing. We love it.
Yes, she is. She is season 1. She's a great character.
Yeah,
Season
yeah,
2, she could have grown a little bit more.
yeah.
Um, all right, that's going to take us to Niku, Kaz's best buddy in the whole wide world. Um, like I said,
Oh no.
at the beginning, I was like, okay, I get it. He's just there to be fun. I get it. But as the show went on, he did grow on me.
That's good.
He did grow on me, especially when the turtle people got involved. like like with piloting the Colossus in the engine room and everything,
Yeah.
that made me laugh. But he's great, and he's a good companion for Kaz.
Yeah.
If Kaz is like this Han Solo like character, Niku's kind of like the Chewie in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always loved Niku. Niku is just so sweet and so pure. And
He is.
I just loved having a character like that. Like as much as I love my morally gray, I love my complex morally gray characters.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love them
yeah,
so
yeah.
much. Yum yum yum. Like I love them. But I also just loved for once getting a character that was so pure, so sweet. And
Hmm.
I hated that people tried so hard to make him not. I'm looking at you, Niku is the spy. People, I'm looking at you. Like the fact that people just couldn't accept that we were having a pure character in Star Wars and had to like say, "Oh no, he's only being pure and sweet because he's the spy." Bothered me. That bothered me. Because he's just a pure, sweet like character, and he just wants to help all his friends, and there's no negative and like motivation there. It's all
Hmm.
pure and all sweet. And him and oh my gosh, why am I blanking?
Him and
What is the name? Oh my god, I'm gonna Bebo. Gosh, that's sorry. I just had like the
Bebo.
biggest brain death. Bebo is so sweet. Like that whole episode is so cute. I love them together so much, and I just love how, like you said, like the Chelidai, Bebo, just like all his little companions are so cute.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, just the way that he believes in people, like believing in Kaz, believing in Tam, believing in and recognizing their own growth, like him recognizing how Kaz has grown in that finale. I'm like, yes, Niku, we stand a supportive friend. Thank you.
Well, and honestly, I think like he would have been like if all else if it came to push and shove, he'd get down and dirty and fight if he had to.
Oh yeah.
And you like that's why he grew on me, because I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, if something goes down, this he's not afraid to punch someone. Like I don't think he's afraid to punch someone.
Yeah, I mean, I would believe it. I believe it. I mean, I don't think he'd go like as crazy as Tora, but he would
Yeah.
definitely still protect his friends.
Oh
I'd see
yeah.
it. I can see it.
Oh yeah.
Because don't even
Uh,
get me started on Tora. My God, that girl scares me sometimes. Like when she jumps in that stormtrooper, I'm like, girl, that's commitment. I couldn't relate.
uh, Part of me thinks she had Terrace Kasi training at some point, because I'm like, there's no way somebody's that aggressive like that. Like there's
Seriously,
no
I'm like,
way.
that's commitment. My
No,
goodness.
yeah, yeah. She she understood the assignment.
She did. She did.
Um, Actually, let's talk about her father now, Captain Doza, and we can also talk about her mom
Yeah.
during this as well. Um, yeah, Captain Doza, leader of the Colossus, and then her mom is off with the Resistance
Mhm.
as an experimental X-wing pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I Her dad bothered me at first just because he kept like isolating her. Like I understand why he did it because like kind of like Yeager, gotta protect the children from the evil. Like I understand, but I felt so bad for her, and like I think I struggled with the fact that he was like isolating her to the point of like we kind of talked about how she like craved not just like freedom but like truth, you know what I mean, like
Oh
just
yeah.
too much over isolation. He grew on me eventually because like I said, I understood where he was coming from, and I think what really helped me understand that better was once it was revealed that he used to work for the Empire, because then it was like, okay, it's not just a dad protecting from the evil because evil bad. It's a dad who experienced what the evil is like. Thus,
Mhm.
he has an internal understanding and perception of the evil. Thus, it's understandable why he was so extra protective of her.
Oh
So, like I
yeah.
said, the more we learned about him, the more I understood him and um, grew to appreciate him. And but like ultimately, what really even grew that further was him being slowly growing to take risks more as time went
Hmm.
on, which I really appreciated because,
Hmm.
like we kind of talked about with Eager, it's understandable to feel a need to isolate and to be extremely protective of like our children, but we also need to understand that if they want to fight, we have to give them the opportunity, them the opportunity to do so.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like a reversal because, like, I feel like in Rebels, it was really like throw the children into battle, and then she learned like after Kanan, oh gosh, maybe we shouldn't have always thrown the children into battle. And then like whereas this time it was we're isolating the children from battle, but maybe we should actually let them fight, step up and fight.
Yeah.
So I liked that we kind of got that reversal where instead of being like seeing more of the costs and then being like, oh gosh, what did we do? It was more like, oh gosh, we shouldn't even throw them into the fight in the first place, and seeing the cost of that, like, because he still saw what it did to her, like what not letting her fight did
Yeah.
about how she felt isolated. She was cagey with him. She was a little sassy, because it all came from a place of wanting to be believed in, kind of like
Oh
Tam.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
seeing these two father figures learn to understand that they have to give their children some freedom was amazing.
Yeah. And then her mom coming back towards the end of season two, which I wish like she had been sprinkled into season one. That way we could have gotten more of her.
Mm.
Um, but I loved her in season two. I thought she was great and I loved her character, and loved the whole relationship with her and Tora, and then also her and Captain Doza. Like they kind of just, they make amends and they move on, and that's like one of my favorite things about that. They really show that love is stronger, um, and that was so cool.
Yeah.
And her X-wing was just awesome too. So just saying.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about a couple of more of the characters on the Colossus, and then we're gonna move on to some of the First Order characters. Um, let's talk about uh, Orca and Flix.
Yes. Yes, I love them. I love them so much. They are the best.
I they truly are a married couple, and that's
Yes.
what I love about it.
Yes. Ah, it's amazing.
Yes.
And I just love their dynamic and their banter. Like you said, they banter like a married couple. They are a married couple.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, but just their whole like dynamic is so funny. And the even when with Kaz, when Kaz like babysits their shop, it's so
Yeah.
funny. Like their whole dynamic of like don't trust anyone, like make sure you do your job. And then when Kaz like screws it up, they're just like, okay, Kaz, you could just keep working for us. It's fine.
Weren't they
So
weren't
funny.
they going to see like Flix's parents or
Yes,
something?
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like they're so open about how they're together, and I love it. I love it so much. It's amazing.
I love that Flick's like, yeah, we're going to go see my parents, and then Orca's just like, I don't want to go see his parents. Like
Yeah,
they are great. They are
they
so
do.
funny. And Bobby Moynihan and Jim Rash were perfect in that casting. I love Bobby Moynihan so much.
And I
And
just love their little pet Gorg that
the
keeps
Gorg,
biting Kaz's fingers off. It's amazing.
we call him Bitey.
Well, I love Beatty. Yes, yes.
Yes. My wife heard Gorg. And she's like,
Gorg.
Gorg?
Gorg. Yes.
Oh, you have something for me to show? Okay, apparently we have something to share. What is this? Oh, it was also a picture of Pickle. Okay. Um. Anyway, she's bringing out, I think, a Gorg in a
Of
second.
course.
Um. I real quick, I'm upset that they're not at the creature stall anymore.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Here, I gotcha. Um.
You and I
So
both.
yeah. So if we're talking about Gorgs,
Yes. Still one of my biggest regrets from Celebration was not getting one. Oh my god. I could have afforded to get the wolf and the Gorg. What was I thinking? Oh my god. It's so cute. It's so cute.
its eyes are massive. It's
I
kind of derpy
know.
looking in a way.
Yeah.
Do you have something to say?
Oh
Okay.
gosh.
I'm trying not to hit my camera. Um, yeah. Uh, their pet Gorg is great and really funny, and it just keeps biting Kaz. And then
Yeah.
when it gets loose on the station, I thought that was really funny
I
too.
just can't believe Kaz doesn't have permanent finger damage. I'm like, he's gotta. I know he's like a noodle boy, but like, my god.
He should not be flying
He should
after
not
all of
be
that
flying.
hand.
Exactly. You understand. He shouldn't be doing mechanics. He should be flying. He should have like permanent finger damage.
Yes. And then I also want to talk about Aunt Z because she's such a great character too. She's a
Yes.
local cantina owner that Kaz sometimes upsets.
Sometimes. Always.
Yes.
Yes.
And remember Kaz's like first day on the Colossus, he gets into a bar fight.
Right.
Ah, so good. So good. She's a great character. But I also love that she became a point of refuge for the characters as well.
Yeah.
Um and and she really worked with Kaz and Team Fireball. I call him Team Fireball.
They are Team Fireball.
Yeah. She worked with them, and like they developed like a really good respect for each other throughout that series, and it was just yeah, I love her. She's a great character. Um anybody else on, or should we cover the aces?
Um, I feel like the one thing I can say, um, I find it interesting. I guess for all of them overall. I mean, Freya and Griff have less development than Hype.
Yeah.
At least we got a little bit of something, and whatever the other guy's name is, I'm sorry, I always forget the one with the other one. There's one more.
Was it
Wait.
Kragan?
What?
Was it Kragan Core or Kragan Gore? No, that was the pirate.
It's
Um
it's the whatever the one that doesn't really show their face. I feel so bad. They
oh,
don't really talk about him at all. So wait, this is gonna bother me. I need to Google this. Hold please.
hold on. Colossus
Star Wars Resistance
Resistance
Aces.
Pilot Aces
Oh my god.
doesn't show.
Tora, Hype, Griff. I got Freya. Bo
Oh,
Keeble. Bo Keeble. I always forget that one.
Okival.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
When we
That
even
was
talk
Dave
about Bo
Filoni.
Keeble, I'm sorry. Like, because at
Yeah.
least like the other two have like some moments, but I swear
Mhm.
Bo like never does anything. I'm sorry. Like, but like hype is interesting. Like hype's like
Mhm.
dynamic with Tam, and then even his like dynamic with like Kaz and stuff is just so
Yeah.
interesting. And how it's hype is another example. Kind of that episode is another example of how Kaz goes from like just idolizing people and being like a fanboy and expecting things to just be perfect all the time to seeing like the messier things, because like kind of like he starts out being a fanboy with
Mhm.
Poe and then he learns to just see Poe more as a mentor.
Mhm.
Kind of with like hype, it's like he starts out just being a fanboy and being like, oh my god, it's an ace pilot, and then he like learns more about like what happened between like Tam and Hype and more of like Hype's backstory and stuff, and then he's like, "Oh no, people are more complex." Not Kaz learning that people
Mhm.
are complicated. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no. So I just think he was interesting. He was interesting. I think he just gave a lot of energy. That's why I remember him more than the others, because like I feel like the other aces just didn't get enough. They should have gotten a bit more in the show.
I agree.
But yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I also I did love Griff. I thought Steven Stanton was
Yeah, Griff.
fantastic.
See, I
So
remember
good.
Griff, and then Freya was kind of like talked to Tora a decent amount, so I remember
Yeah,
her. Bo just like I said, didn't really do much.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, they were still like really cool characters, and
Yeah, and I think like their whole what complexity they did get that was interesting was like how they went from just being ace pilots to like people who also felt the isolation.
hmm
Um Mainly in season 2,
yeah,
kind of like back and forth tension with Doza, especially, and one of the most challenging things, and why, like you said, that why Kaz was such an important friend for Tora is because her relationships with the Aces started to fracture a bit when all of that was going on, even in season 1, but especially in season 2, because when they were so isolated and they were drawn into this new military setting. And then in season 1, when they're super isolated because of the First Order, they often would go to her because they wouldn't always immediately have access to Doza. So they would
yeah,
often go to Tora and be like, "What's up with your father? Why can't we fly now? What's going on with the First Order?"
yeah.
It was always on her, and I think that was a big fracture for her relationship with them. Which is why I'm glad in the end that they all were learned to fight together and supported each other.
hmm
And in that finale, they were all together as one, because I think that was hard for her to feel like her friends only saw her as like the reason they couldn't fly or the reason
Yeah,
they were being drawn into a war.
yeah,
Because oftentimes, like I said, they wouldn't even go to Kaz as much as they go to her, just because of her connection to her dad, which that
yeah,
was hard to watch sometimes. Like some of the times when they were like, "Tora, why can't we fly?" I'm like, "Besties, it's not her fault. Like, calm down."
yeah. Because she kind of becomes the de facto leader of that squadron.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's crazy.
yeah.
And all they want to do is race. Like they don't want to fight. They just want to race.
No. No. I mean, like they that like you said, they didn't know like they weren't used to military tactics at all. Like when they were trying to teach them military tactics, they were like, "What?" And that was
They're
like
for
one of the
grabs.
biggest things with Hype too, is Hype was so in it for himself that kind of which was such a big reflection on Kaz's growth, where Kaz had to step and be up and be like, "I know where you're coming from. I know what it's like to think about yourself, but you gotta not think about yourself right now. Like you gotta work as a team."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the first order characters. Um, we've got Commander Pyre. We have Agent Tierney,
Yes.
and then we also have Major Von Reg, Lieutenant Gaelic, and Captain Phasma.
Yes.
Also, I would say General Hux too. General Hux is in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for about a
And
second.
Kylo for a second.
Yeah,
For a
Kylo's
second.
there too. Yeah,
For a second. Spoiler
yeah,
alert to
yeah.
those who haven't watched. Yeah.
Kylo isn't even
When
like
I
in
say a
the
second, people,
IMDb.
I mean a second. Like,
Yeah.
it's a hot second.
Oh no, it is. It
Yeah.
is. So let's start with Commander Pyre, and then we'll go to Tierney, then Von Reg, and Phasma. So Pyre is Phasma, but gold.
Goldie, Goldie 2.0.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my god.
was he was actually pretty cool. I liked him throughout the
Yeah.
show. I thought he was pretty cool. He was very menacing.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he was a good villain for that series. Like he was a real good villain for the series.
Right, because like,
Yeah.
before Tyrion came in, he was really that force on the Colossus to try to keep Doza in line and
Yeah.
keep the tension high, and he also is, like, one of those biggest driving forces of, like, the relationships, but, like, in analyzing the relationship between them and the pirates and how he could use even the pirates in that whole tension and, control over the Colossus. I just he's just very interesting,
Mhm.
just to see, like you said, that control he was able to have in that first season and that, that power, and that was why it was, like, so satisfying in season 2 to see, like, him struggle because,
You're good.
sorry, my mom's calling me, people.
All good. It's all good.
Bad timing, she doesn't know I'm on the stream right now, I apologize.
It's all good.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I thought he was a great character. I loved I just love that he's a straight up villain. That's
yeah,
all he is just a straight up villain. And he was very manipulative. He was very manipulative. Um,
yeah,
Tierney was great as not only an intelligence officer, but she was a great recruiter for the First Order.
yeah.
Um, she was also very ruthless too,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially in that season one finale. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
very ruthless. And I think we've talked a lot about her when we talked about Tam because, like,
because
I
she's the
mean,
manipulator, master
yeah,
manipulator.
yeah, and she says, "I'll give you your dream if you give me this information."
Yeah,
And that was just really really hard for Tam. And she was just so good. She was just so good.
yeah.
Yeah, such a great character. Um, like Pyre, she was super manipulative. I liked her relationship with Tam and tried to be somewhat of a mentor. Yeah, she's somewhat of a mentor. She realizes that that Tam doesn't. Well, Tam has a father figure with Jaeger, but she sees Jaeger as weak, whereas she can actually like give Tam what she wants, um, essentially. But yeah, she's a great character. Major Von Reg, pretty much the ace of the
The
First
ace.
Order Navy.
Yeah.
Um, cool Tie Fighter, cool armor, and just an awesome character.
Yes.
And yeah, we didn't get much of him except for in space mostly. Um, but he was a cunning pilot and a great tactician too. Great
Yeah,
tactician. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I love Von Reg, and then of course Phasma just shows up for a little bit before she gets destroyed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Von Reg should have had more scenes. He and Jaeger could have had a rival. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I did like that they tried to set up a rivalry between Von Reg and Kaz, especially like in the very first episode, like when they're hunting down the First Order and stuff. Um, yeah, I thought that would have been I thought that would have been really really interesting. Um, Hux, we get to see his speech from Force Awakens.
Mhm.
That's really cool. And then we watch Hosnian Prime blow up. But Kaz's dad is still alive, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Gosh.
I I can't stand his dad.
I
I
can't
can't.
either. You and I relate on that front.
Hmm. Chopper almost killed him in Ahsoka,
He should have. Oh,
but then we would have gotten Kaz.
I mean, wait.
Oh no, we would have. We
Yeah,
would have at that point.
wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would have. We
yeah,
would.
yeah, yeah. He would have been a kid. He would have been a kid at that point.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
not that young.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I'm like, but we wouldn't have gotten Kaz. Oh wait, no, we would have. We would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. Chopper should have offed him when he had the chance. especially like when he yelled at him. And then Kylo was fun seeing him for brief seconds. That was fun.
Mhm.
Um, I really feel like this show should have ended with the Colossus going to Exegol for the final battle.
Oh. I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I mean,
I mean, maybe if been given more seasons, yes,
yeah,
but for what we were given, I like what we got.
yeah. I thought it was a solid finale,
Yeah.
but it
Because, like,
definitely, yeah.
true to this show, outside of, like you said, like, outside of having familiar characters, true to the show, like, it was very much about the community and about
Hmm.
those characters, and that's why I like that it stuck to that. It didn't become because, like, obviously it referenced the larger conflict, and if it had been
Yeah.
given more seasons, sure, I believe they would have touched more on the larger conflict, but
Hmm.
ultimately the story was about this community and how they were adapting, and
Hmm.
I think, like, what they needed in that instance for that community, it helped them a lot to step up in that scenario when it was about their community because,
Hmm.
like, they still had tension with it and conflict with it because Tam betrayed them, but ultimately that was still someone that was a member of their community, so that was still a big draw as to helping push them to step up in that instance.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, if they make him another season, for sure, would have made
Hmm.
sense. But like I feel like with the time we were given, what it ended with made the most sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I felt that that second season was really good. It felt rushed at times.
yeah,
But it was still a very solid second season. The finale still left it open for a third season if they wanted to do it.
yeah,
Um, but when it's all said and done, this was actually a finale that ended on a happy note too, which I was really happy about for
yeah.
when it came to a Star Wars show.
Exactly.
Um, because they got their win against the First Order. Like they got their win. And they were all together at the end, which I thought was great. I love this show so much. I know a lot of people hated on it because of the animation style, and a lot of people hated on it because of the tone, especially in the early episodes, with it being a little more slapsticky. But keep in mind, a lot of Star Wars animation has done that.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
Clone
like
Wars did it. Yeah.
all three of, well, I guess four, including, well, I'm like, how many are we at now? There's like 3, 4, 5. Like we're keep adding animated shows. All of them have their moments where it
Yeah.
is more lighthearted. I mean, all of
Hmm.
them know when to have those
Hmm.
moments. I mean, some of them less so than others, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I'd say out of all of them, probably Bad Batch has less. But
Oh.
like they're all aware of the stakes of their specific shows, but they're also aware of when they can have those cuter, lighter moments.
Hmm.
And sure, for a lot of them, the level comes more in those earlier seasons than it
Yeah.
does in those later seasons. But even in those later seasons, it still finds that time to have that
Hmm.
levity, which you have to remember is like so important for a show. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like even if we're having the most gritty show ever, we're gonna have a little bit of levity
Oh yeah.
because I mean, sometimes maybe you just want to watch a show just to be depressed, but like I think most of the time an audience still needs some kind of hope because we have to remember too,
Hmm.
hope is a big part of Star Wars, people. And
Yeah.
if we have like zero hope, then what are we doing? What
Hmm.
are we doing? So yeah, and I think this show is just very aware of not, and I think a lot of the misconception is it has levity because it's a kid's show. And
Hmm.
while it being geared towards a child's audience may increase the level of levity that it's
Hmm.
given, it doesn't inherently mean that levity exists because it's geared towards that
Oh
audience.
yeah.
Just like a more gritty show like Andor,
Hmm.
it's not just gritty just because it's for adults. It's gritty because it's a gritty show that tells gritty stories.
Hmm.
So similar to this show, it was aware that it was taking place on a platform where everyone was loved to make fun of a goofy noodle boy.
He
Um,
is a noodle boy.
Exactly. And it was aware of like that kind of perception because you have to remember like it's following a protagonist that's like a big fanboy that
Yeah.
thinks things will come easy, that just wants to like fly and have fun. So it
Hmm.
takes that and it runs with it. It runs
Hmm.
with the fact that it's focusing on characters that are competitive, that are sassy, that like
Yeah.
to race each other, that has a fanboy protagonist. It takes those characters and it's aware of where it's coming from. And it still has those darker moments where like where you learn that Doza was of the in the empire, where you
Hmm.
learn that like there is a first order occupation coming to the Colossus. Like you there where we're aware that the pirates are kidnapping Tora. Like we have all these like darker moments, but it's aware that these characters are ultimately kids. And I think that's like a big thing I respect about this show is it's aware that while they're older kids, they
Hmm.
are still like a younger demographic that
Hmm.
has is very in their world
Hmm.
be kind of like I said, unlike Rebels where it's so quickly the children are so quickly into the conflict,
Yeah.
this show these characters aren't so quickly thrust into conflict.
Hmm.
And when you don't have kids that are so exposed to war immediately, of course they're going to be more. It's kind of like how, like I said, how like a majority of Bad Batches lightheartedness comes in that early season
Yeah.
because that is before Omega is more exposed to war,
Yeah.
before she's more exposed to like what the galaxy is like.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'll rest my case with Resistance is like people
No,
have to
I
be
get it.
aware of who these characters are, where they're coming from, and what are their goals. Like, because
Yeah.
their goals in the beginning of the series are not take down the First Order. Their goals are I want to win a race. I
Yeah.
want to be a spy. I want
Mhm.
to have like a fun time with the resistance. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm gonna join them. He never originally joined the resistance. Sure, he wanted to make a difference, but he wasn't like on some like grand mission to like change the galaxy for the better. Boy just wanted to like fly a ship and
Mhm.
be a cool spy. He just wanted to be a cool spy and
Yeah.
impress Poe Dameron. Like, come on, people.
And
Um,
he did impress Poe. He did impress
exactly
Poe.
right.
Yeah.
Like I think the more awareness we as an audience have of like characters' motivations and where they're coming from in this point in time will help people understand why certain
Yeah.
elements of shows are have more levity.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
know. I think it's a show that people just need to give more of a chance. It's and like it's not for everyone, obviously, but
No.
it is. I feel like it is also what you make of it.
Mhm.
Like if you go in thinking it's just a goofy show and I shouldn't take it seriously, then obviously
Yeah.
you're just not gonna enjoy it as
Mhm.
much. So
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't
yeah. I
know.
mean, like you said, there are times when the show knows when to take itself seriously, especially like when it comes to the overall conflict between the Resistance and the First Order. But there's so much comedy in the way and everything, and it helps make the show um it makes the show better, I think.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about Flix and Orca. Like I love their banter. I think their banter is amazing. Resistance did something different, and that is honestly one of my favorite parts of it. Along with the other shows, every animated show does something different that people can find. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you didn't have Resistance, I don't think you'd have Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of Resistance in Skeleton Crew, and I see a lot of Skeleton Crew in Resistance as well. Um, and that just made me just so happy. Um, because if you think about it, Niku is Neil essentially,
In a way, yes.
in a way. And then that would make Kaz Whim, and I think that's cool. Like it's all about following your dreams, right? And yeah,
But kind of like I say in a way, like a reason I think we need to another reason to be flexible with shows is nothing is a copy paste.
yeah,
Sure, Niku has a lot of the characteristics of Neil, but he's not inherently that character. Like we were just talking about how Niku would like literally like clobber stormtroopers. Neil, on
Yeah.
the other hand, like as at least for a good part of Skeleton Crew, wasn't about to be like doing that. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just because they have similar characteristics doesn't mean they're inherently like the same
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. I agree.
And so I think like that's another reason why like we need to accept like sure you may love the way a certain show is structured, but that doesn't mean like every show is going to be structured that way
Hmm.
or every character is going to be structured that
Yeah.
way. And like I said, it's all about how you approach it
Hmm.
and the space you give it. But like I said, it's not for everyone. Like I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say you need to watch this, you need to like it.
No.
But like I'm trying to all I'm trying to say is like being more flexible with
Hmm.
media, it'll make your life a lot like more open. And sure, you don't
No.
necessarily have to like everything, but you may find things you
Hmm.
may like about something that you might not have found without giving it a chance. Like for example, like I talked about earlier, like no one so many people didn't know Oscar Isaac was even in this show. And then all I had to do was post some clips online, and suddenly people wanted to watch the show just because Oscar Isaac was in it.
Yeah.
Sure, he's only in like the first season in like 4 episodes, but the fact that they're even giving small portions of the show a chance because they found something they enjoyed in it
Hmm.
means means the world to me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's also like with trying different foods and stuff. You never
right,
know until you try it. Like
exactly.
that's how I look at it. You never know until you try it, and just give it a shot. And if you like it, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. I'm nobody's telling you to love this show. I'm just
No, 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 not
I
by
know
any
a
means.
lot of us enjoy the show, and I really feel like it should have gotten a little more. It should have gotten another season, but with what we got, it was fun. And
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the saddest things too is I feel like a lot of there was an opportunity for like I said, when you find those small things you like about a show, I feel like with an additional season, there could have been more opportunity for those certain things that certain people enjoy
yeah,
that show could have been given the opportunity to give. Like
yeah,
I think a lot of people love seeing how like those conflicting relationships between characters like
mhm.
evolve over time. And
Oh
like
yeah,
I just think the the relationships between Tam and Kaz and Tam and Yeager, it just would have been so interesting to explore
mhm,
that dynamic more. And also to see, like you said, to see how the Colossus could grow even more to be go from oh, we're gonna just help with like Tam and take down this one destroyer and take down these like people that oppressed our Colossus to, oh my god, we're gonna jump into a giant battle at Exegol. Like, how do we get to that point? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, how do we develop as a station to reach that level of
I agree.
intervention? So yeah, I don't know. I just really I like I said, I enjoy what we were given. I just think there was an opportunity to be given so much more if
Yeah,
been given the
I
time.
agree. Um, yeah, it's great. If you have not checked it out yet, please do yourself a favor and just try it. It's on Disney Plus. Both seasons are on there. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, yeah. If you're ever in the mood for some sequel era fun, just check out Star Wars Resistance. That's gonna be it for us. It's a shorter one tonight, but you know, it's all good. We covered what we wanted to talk about, and that's cool with me. Um, anything else before we go?
Um, I don't know. I guess for anyone who hasn't seen my social media yet, I'll share some news.
Yeah.
So for the last about like a month and a
Hmm.
half, I've been working as a character attendant at Disney World, mainly Hollywood Studios is my park. And this last week, I finally got to do Star Wars training. So I'm
Yay!
officially a resident of Batu.
Nice, nice. Uh, I know we talked about that earlier in the week. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really cool. I think it's just awesome that that you are now doing you are now residing on Batu. Um,
Having a lot of fun, yes.
that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Yeah, John says you're in the canon now. You are a canonical character on Batu now.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that's something that you can say to people. Like, yeah, I'm part of Star Wars. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's great. Congratulations once again. That's really cool.
yeah.
And you are killing it in the college program. You are absolutely killing it. We are so proud of you.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be it for us. So I know that you have to go to bed. Um,
Well, apparently I have to call my mom.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
weird she never calls me. So I didn't even think she would call me during this, but apparently I need to put it on my calendar always because this is what happens when you're long distance. Like
yeah,
everyone knows I live in Seattle. I'm all the way in Florida. So
yeah,
many miles away. My poor mom. I need to make sure she's doing all right. But yeah, and then I'm
yeah.
going to sleep.
Yeah. Call your mom, then go to bed.
Hold
And
on, I
all of
go
you
to bed.
call your moms. Everybody watching, call your mom.
Call your
Um,
mom.
call your moms, damn it. All right. That's gonna be it for us. Have a wonderful week. We will see you all next week.
Good
Goodbye.
night.